Hello and welcome to teleSUR English, and now we present the official statement issued by the government of Venezuela in rejection of non-compliance by parts of the U.S. with the signed agreements, and we listen to statements of Minister of Foreign Affairs of Venezuela, Yván Gil.
Well, good afternoon, dear journalists and the press and the Venezuelan audience, compatriots who are watching us and listening to us on social media and means of communication. Well, today we'll summon at the hall of Simon Bolivar in the Yellow House to express on behalf of the Venezuelan government our stance regarding the shameful position that the United States government had yesterday when he violently acted against Venezuela. So I read the following statement. The government of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela rejects once again the request to monitor, control and manipulate the Venezuelan oil industry through its policy of coercive sanctions against Venezuela with a colonialist vision that Venezuela's government and the people would never accept. On Wednesday, the United States government just implemented its colonialist policy on September 28th. So it implied this policy that it was implemented was very illegal. Well, the United States is not harming is harming Venezuela, an independent, is harming Venezuelan government, and it hurts the international market as well, as it is very affected by the bellic impetus of Washington, and it damages the Venezuelan oil industry. Once again, the United States does not comply with his commitment with implementing these sanctions in order to damage the electoral process of Venezuela. Hundreds of years ago, men and women just gave their lives for an independent homeland, so that's why the future of Venezuela, it only depends on the Venezuelan people and government. The Bolivarian government and all Venezuelan workers reject the imperialist aggression and reminds the whole world that with license or non-license, with illegal or legal measures, Venezuela is going to be free, and no force will stop its building of a future of peace and prosperity. The statement on April 18th, 2024. I want to make some comments on this communique. On Wednesday, we saw how a government speechless, as Jorge Rodriguez said, a U.S. government who not only has mocked its interlocutors and its counterpart, but it has shown the world that it's impossible to reach any agreement with someone who doesn't comply with his word. the President of the National Assembly has shown yesterday in the agreement signed we were just represented this agreement signed yesterday, Venezuela and the United States were committed to establish some agreements, and our delegation is always complying with the international rights. And so it was crystal clear, steadfast, and it always demanded the lifting of all sanctions on Venezuela as a first step to go with the normalization of relations between our country and the United States. These steps to normalization included the application of the Constitution, of the Venezuelan Constitution as it was applied in the last 25 years. On July 28th, there's going to be elections in Venezuela. And this was just our action of compliance, of attachment to our Bolivarian Constitution, and our demand to the United States was the complete lifting of sanctions on Venezuela, and they committed to do so by Nichols, but once again, the United States government did not fulfill his words and commitments, because sanctions shouldn't have existed, as the United Nations have condemned it, because these sanctions are illegal, are contrary to the international rights, and they have no space to be applied for. So, as we have seen, another non-compliance and illegality that the United States government did to aim at damaging the Venezuelan economy. As we have seen before, in 2022, we have grown our gross domestic product, and we have seen a growth of 8%, and even the International Monetary Fund has stated that Venezuela is going to be the country with the highest increase in the region in its gross domestic product, and we have been advancing towards prosperity. So applying these coercive policies and sanctions is just criminal, illegal, and its political motivation is to benefit an extreme right group of Venezuela. As all Venezuelans have seen on social media, they have been asking sanctions for Venezuela, believing that Venezuelans would vote for them, but they are just responsible for a criminal act of the United States. A criminal act that we must explain to Venezuelan people, which is not going to have any aftermath in the Venezuelan people. We have decided to be free, to be sovereign. We have been building a progressive, an advanced economy with a very cutting-edge industry. We have new investors arriving in Venezuela who have decided to dismiss this act of aggression of the United States. So as a Democrat, as defensor of the international rights, as practitioners of the peaceful diplomacy of Venezuela, we reject this practice against Venezuela, against any country in the world. The international community, the real international community has condemned and has raised their voices in all multilateral spaces. Once again, we communicate to the people of Venezuela to express our position and to all workers, all industry workers, in the all agricultural fishery workers, the tranquility, the peace that the Venezuelan government is working on the path of prosperity, of national prosperity, and we will advance, and we are planning we're making our agenda and our plan full of achievements, and surely we will live through despite this aggression. Venezuela is open to dialogue with national sectors, with different currents, with different ideological currents that live here in Venezuela, with a national and patriotic sense. With everyone, we just keep communicating, and we are going to go to the process on July 28th with lots of encouragement and joy, and once again on that day we will celebrate another victory with the election of the President of the Republic. Thank you very much, and this has been the statement of the Foreign Ministry on behalf of the government.
Preguntas por parte de la periodista Fabiana Márquez de Venezuela News.
Oh, so now it's going to be a round of questions. Well, good afternoon. Well, I would like to, if you could broaden your message to Venezuelans, mostly to the Venezuelan people, maybe any concern of this return of the known sanctions, and to come back to the harsh years. Well, we reaffirm what the Venezuelans live daily. There's no need further explanation that what the Venezuelans have been feeling in the lately years. In 2017, 2018, years of the most severe sanctions, there was shortage of medicines, and there was no access to energy. So when we see the trend of what happened forward from 2019 to nowadays, the Venezuelan people has seen the improvements, has seen the recovery of its resources, of services. So we have been doing these improvements in the middle of these sanctions, amid these sanctions. So the license that was applied in October by the United States was not a lifting of sanctions, but the prosperity we have seen was not thanks to this application, but from the United States, but thanks to the wisdom, the wit, the action, the political action of the leadership of President Nicolás Maduro, who have bestowed to the Venezuelan people prosperity. So we are proud of our government, of our institutions, of how we have overcome this criminal blockade that we demand be lifted because of just an attachment to legality, to the international rights, because they are contrary to the UN Charter, and so these sanctions must be rejected by all the international community.
Seguidamente, pregunta por la periodista Fabiana Ortega.
So Fabiana Ortega, a journalist, is going to ask.
Listening to Venezuelan Foreign Minister Yván Gil regarding the U.S. non-compliance with the agreement signed between both nations. In this context, the Venezuelan minister further stated that these actions sought to damage the Venezuelan economy and the electoral process underway in the country. Gil stated that these measures will not have a deep impact on the country's economy, while firmly rejecting U.S. interference in Latin American nation. Follow this and many other topics in the following news broadcast. Stay with us.